April 19th, 2010 was a typical Monday. I had just left my job and was making a phone call. I mistakenly hit my son's number, and the call went like this. "Oh, hi, Brandon. I didn't mean to call you. You're washing your truck? I'll let you go then. Have a good day. I love you." Fast forward 4 hours, it's 5 o'clock, and I was home with a full house cooking dinner for our family when there was a knock at the door. I opened the door to two men wearing uniforms with the letters SWAT, Special Weapons and Tactics, on their shirts. The next thing I knew, I was being driven to the hospital because my 19-year-old son, who I had just talked to earlier, had shot himself in the head in his dorm at Lindenwood University. I rushed into the hospital waiting room as the doctor was walking in. He said they tried to revive him 3 times, but that he had passed away 5 minutes ago. The waiting room, full of family and close friends, was wailing. I am a woman of strong faith, and all I could say was, God is in control. The hallway was lined with college kids, and I hugged each one of them. It was unbearable to see my other 4 children lost in their pain. My husband was out of town in a remote location in the desert for his job and was still being located by authorities. I was surrounded by people, but I felt totally alone. A clipboard was quickly put in front of me to sign because Brandon was an organ donor and the process had to be completed. And then I had to decide if I was going to go into his room to see him laying there in his bloody clothes with a bullet in his head. But my oldest son and my brother went in on my behalf and carried that memory forever. I still wrestle with that today. We were all invited to Lindenwood. As I stood at Brandon's vigil in front of the dorm, I just found myself wondering, whose kid is this? And where is his family? It was very surreal. The following week was a constant flurry of kids in and out of my house and an unending loop of questions. I did start putting it together that Brandon did have a plan. He gave things away like his favorite sunglasses, his clothes, and an old cell phone to our youngest son, who was in 7th grade. In retrospect, we could see how he had said his goodbyes. When I found his bucket list while cleaning out a drawer, I was a little surprised to find skydiving at the top. But it began to make sense why he made what felt like a random trip to go skydiving that week before he died, and then gathered the family together to watch the video the night before his death. As I ironed the clothes I picked out for him for the funeral, I had no idea of the shock I was in, but it was quickly taking its rightful place. There were 1,800 people at his visitation. I stood at the casket for hours and hours, comforting parents, and found myself saying over and over, we are called to be the best stewards we can of our children, but ultimately they belong to God. A week before he died, Brandon and I went for what I thought was one of our normal long drives to talk. He said his exciting life felt mundane. I shared all the wisdom I could for what seemed normal for anyone from time to time. He excelled on all his high school and college volleyball teams, was on the senior prom court, had a landscaping business, was the life of the party, surrounded by friends. But at some point, the darkness must have been all-consuming. And why he didn't want to breathe anymore, we will never know. Looking for answers, I went to get his clothes from the police department. I retrieved all 33 pages from that night's medical records from the hospital. Could there be a note missed in his pocket? Or a clue in the details written from beginning to end? Nothing. There were no answers, only more questions. Why did he have the one brand new tennis shoe on? And Brandon, why did you go to KFC and leave half-eaten food? It took a long time to get past the moments of what it must have felt like to be in my son's head, taking the steps to his dorm bathroom as the music was blaring, the last place he would see. The rawness of the grief spiraled, and this new normal was hard to accept, but life went on. My daughter got married, our granddaughter was born, and my husband moved 5 hours away to take care of his dad, who had cancer and lost his battle. 3 years into our loss, the shock finally began to thaw. Life was regaining color, and I became an open book as I fully realized each of our days are numbered. I have seen so many women lost in their suffering, giving way to defeat, and getting stuck in time. I have been writing and speaking into the hearts of moms and kids, especially on my son's Remembrance Facebook page, but found myself adding more and more notes about how to live in such deep sorrow. There are many entries in that page, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. I'm grateful to help others find a little bit of joy and the strength to have purpose. One day I was on the phone with a friend, and I opened up a back door curtain to see a sunflower looking right at me. Brandon and I planted many a sunflower seed trying to grow a good one, and that moment reminded me that God's mercies are new every morning. I have learned to do the next thing, step outside my box, and get to the next day. Every year, we give in memory of Brandon's birthday and his homegoing day. We randomly pay for lunches, especially if it's a young man with a landscaping logo on his shirt. We hand out gift cards at Lindenwood randomly with notes of encouragement, and we give to the boys' high school volleyball team today. We walk for suicide awareness and look to do many random acts of kindness. It's been 11 years, but life that was turned upside down has now found its way right side up. As an organ donor, Brandon made it possible for 2 babies to live. Because they received his pulmonary arteries, 2 people can walk again, and his skin was donated to kids in Haiti. That too brings such great joy. Every day I still ask, how do I live without you? But I have a semicolon tattoo to remind me that my story isn't over and that his suffering and mine will not be wasted. The memories of Brandon's death have left a scar that will never go away. As I sat under that dreaded blue tent where my son's body was laid to rest, it felt like part of me was buried too. But the joy of the Lord has always been my strength. And while this story might be over this evening, I pray we can all walk on our journey together and that the glorious blue skies overtake the darkness of whatever valley you may walk in. Life is worth living, so go light your world.